Hello, this is Adam Watson.
And I am Ben Kreger.
And you are listening to the Comic Collaborative. For this podcast, we're going to be slightly altering the way our podcast normally works. And I'm going to interview my co-host.
What?
About his Kickstarter that's currently going on. So, Ben, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your Kickstarter?
All right. Well, our Kickstarter right now that we're running until July 12th, 2017, is for the second issue of our ongoing series, The Black Suit of Death. And we're looking to raise $5,500, and that is to cover the costs of art production, to pay Dexter Wee his page fee for creating these beautiful pages of art for the comic book.
Is it just for art production? Or are you looking to cover the cost of printing?
So, art production is around $4,000, I think, or somewhere in there. And that includes a little Big SD, the one-page comic by Fred Hembeck, and other little things. There's also costs in Kickstarter, such as the Kickstarter fees, so that's added into the goal. The cost of printing up the rewards, which, is printing up the comic book. So this isn't for a short run or a long run. Basically, our Kickstarter right now is simply covering the creation of the book and fulfilling the rewards. So printing the comic books or the script for Black Suit of Death number 2 in printed booklet form.
Okay, let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
Why do a script as an incentive?
That's a good question. Since the very beginning of my career, when I was a newbie, people came up to me asking about comic scripts. So they say, "You're a comic writer. How do you write a comic script? Do you want to read my comic script?"
That is one of the more common questions we get.
And so people keep asking me for advice. And what I did is how I learned. I went and found comic scripts online or in special editions of trades. Sometimes they'll put some of the script in the back. Also friending comic writers online and talking to them about their process. And I developed my script writing technique from that. I actually use a variation of, I believe it's Joshua Dysart's script. It could be Fred Van Lent's. I have to double check. It might be a combo of those two. But it's similar to theirs. They posted theirs online, and I found that really helpful. So knowing that creators go on Kickstarter to check out indie comics and whatnot, I thought it would be really fun for creators and collectors to have a printed copy of the script so they can see how I format or how Warrior Innkeeper formats comic scripts and be able to compare that to, Marvel or DC or Image or Dark Horse. I believe Dark Horse actually prints their style or has their style on their website.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I found out a lot about comic script writing from a magazine called Right Now that Tomorrow's Press used to put out.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they would have several script samples in every issue, and that was like my holy Bible when I first started out.
Yeah, and my first script was a variation of a screenplay, and then with what you taught me.
Right.
So I've evolved, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so how are you presenting this script?
The script is real basic because we didn't want to put the cost up too much. So it's printed pages bound with that plastic spiral is how we did it for issue 1. And our backers seem to be pretty happy with that. And then
it basically looks like a script that if you were having lunch at LA.
Yeah,
and
that was kind of the idea.
You said, "Hey, I'm a movie producer." The waiter who's dropping off your sandwich puts it underneath your sandwich. So it's that type of script.
Similar, yes.
Okay. All right. So what are your other incentives?
So we've got a lot of groovy stuff on here. So we have digital versions.
Digital versions.
We have digital versions of all our books available because this is a second issue in the series, but it's the third issue of the entire life of the Black Suit of Death because we had the prelude book, Ides of March, and Black Suit of Death number 1, and then we got Black Suit of Death number 2, and we wanted to give everyone the opportunity to read all those books.
Okay.
And so all our rewards include above 9 and up. I'd have to double check, but have the digital versions of all 3 of the books. At a higher tier, you can get the printed versions of all the books. So, and then we're also offering a new sketchbook that'll cover the sketches from Black Suit of Death #1. We have, author autograph versions. What I'm doing this time, and I really haven't done this before, but after a recent convention experience, I was kind of convinced by fans to do variant covers.
I've done one variant cover to date, which was for a Kickstarter.
And Adam's glaring at me. He hates variant covers.
I absolutely hate variant covers. I think they're one of the most useless things this industry have ever came up with, and they were invented by a businessman, not by a comic creator, which, things need to be invented by businessmen as well. I'm not saying that, but they're evil. They're an evil thing. So how many variants are you doing for this?
I'm not doing a shit ton. I am actually capping out at 3. And so what?
3 is a shit ton.
No, shit ton is 10, which seems to be the average these days. So
are any of these variant covers Kickstarter exclusive?
Yes.
Okay. I have less of a problem with that because at least it's a true variant cover where it's not. Yeah, it's not just like, hey, here's Star Wars #1. It has 32 pages, but we're releasing 100 variant covers.
That was beyond ridiculous.
There's nothing inherently rare about a good, 75 to 80 of them.
Yeah. But that's what we wanted to do.
At least with a Kickstarter exclusive, #1, the people know exactly what they're buying.
Yeah.
And #2, if you're making it exclusive to Kickstarter, then it's limited to those numbers. So it's not going to confuse somebody who comes in the store looking for your book.
Yeah.
Sees 2 copies sitting next to each other and like, oh, well, this is a new book, because they didn't look at the issue number or what have you.
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about.
So I can get behind a Kickstarter exclusive variant cover a bit more. I still hate them. But I can get the value behind it.
Yeah. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to just make a variant cover just for the hell of it. One reason why I chose to do so is demand from readers and fans. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to add a little more value to the Kickstarter.
So you're saying fans came up to you at a convention?
Yes.
Said, I demand that you do variant covers. They did. Okay.
No, but I have, people will come up at conventions and say, oh, do you have a variant cover or whatnot? And so I tried some out at a recent convention, and they sold like hotcakes. It was pretty amazing. So we're going to continue that, but we're going to keep it limited because I want it to add value. I don't want it just to be something that I'm throwing out to get some extra cash in my pocket, which, I never have anyways. So we have a regular cover, and that is done by Brett Weldeley, best known for doing the art for the comic book Surrogates, the Bruce Willis movie is based on.
I love that comic.
Yeah, it's his. Every book that I've read of his so far is. Really
I didn't recognize his name, to be honest. But Surrogates, I own both trade paperbacks for that series. I love that series.
Yeah, I really like Pariah when she does the art for that. He's got a new series coming out. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called. Sorry, Brett. I think it says on the Kickstarter. If not, there's a link to his website. So he's doing the main covers, and those are painted. His style is called Distressed Ink.
Okay.
So he does the main covers. Then we have Dexter Wee, who does the interior art. He did a special Earth Day cover for us. Special edition covers. We're doing what is called in the industry I think they're called naked covers. At least
Virgin.
That's the
they're
term.
They're called Virgin covers.
There's several names for it.
Are you talking without the logo, or are you talking completely blank?
Just the art.
Just the art, no logo?
No lettering, no logo.
That's called a Virgin cover.
Okay. So I might have to change the name on mine. I like the term naked. I'm a pervert. Not really. But this was new to me. The first time I saw it, and I'm going to get chastised for saying this, but you know what? Screw you.
Who are you saying screw you to?
Whoever's chastising me.
Okay.
I bought Power Rangers #1 from Boom Studios. That was the first time I'd seen a Virgin cover. Okay. And it was, the green, a close-up of the Green Ranger's hand holding the sword. Mm-hmm. And it was so kick-ass. I was like, that's fucking amazing. So I bought that, and the series is actually really well written. Yeah. Anyways, and that inspired me. It's like, oh, well, I got this wonderful art by Dexter, because he does this promo art during the Kickstarter for Black Suit of Death #1. Mm-hmm. Dexter did a whole bunch of promo art and just surprised us. We didn't ask him to. He just here's some art, promote it.
Oh, that's cool.
It was freaking amazing, and he did this one where it was based on Frazetta's Death Dealer.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that piece.
Yeah, but it's the Black Suited Death.
Very, very good piece. I'd say probably my favorite piece I've seen from Black
It's amazing.
Suited Death.
It's our banner, our con banner.
It should be.
Yeah. And so Black Suited Death #1 has that Frazetta homage Virgin cover as Kickstarter exclusive. Black Suited Death #2 has this new piece, which you may have seen. It's our cover image for the Kickstarter campaign itself. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely amazing. So those are going to be Kickstarter exclusives.
Okay.
I really wanted to take them to conventions, honestly, because they're so cool. But I think our Kickstarter backers are so important to us that they really need or deserve something of incredible value. And since those are going to be limited to no less than 25, because that's the minimum order, per chance, fingers crossed or whatever, I don't want to jinx myself, but per chance Black Suited Death gets known well, those could actually hold some value, hopefully.
Absolutely.
For the collectors. Yeah.
Yeah, not for you, because you can't ever sell them outside of Kickstarter.
Right.
So you are on what day of funding currently? Because you didn't run yours for 30 days.
No, I didn't.
And I want you to talk about that for just a moment.
Okay.
Why did you choose to make it such an odd number? Because you did it for what, 36, 37 days?
We did it for 36 days.
36 days.
2 reasons. Last time, we skated by the skin of our teeth, and I'm still shocked that, it was in the last 4 days, we were stuck at, 78%.
Okay.
We're freaking out. That was, we needed, $2,000 more or something like that.
And the majority
maybe
of your
70%.
funding comes in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
The first 2 days of a Kickstarter and the last 2 days of a Kickstarter.
Exactly. And so we were panicking, and we didn't know what to do. And, we're doing podcast interviews where all over Twitter, annoying people, and we're paused. And then all of a sudden, we get this huge influx of backers, and we get all up to 100. I think we're around 148 backers, and then all of a sudden, by the end of the Kickstarter, we're at 197. We're almost at 200, and we were $1,000 over goal. Mm-hmm. And that was in a 30-day period. And we were raising. Our goal was 6,000.
I think, from my personal experience of having done Kickstarters, that a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that Kickstarter has a remind me button. Mm-hmm. Because even though people don't get charged until the end of it, so on and so forth, if you look at it at the beginning and you think, I really, really want this, but I don't know if I'll have the $25 in my account, I want to wait till then, not to see if they're going to succeed, but to see if I'll succeed in having money at this point in time in my life. You can hit that, nice, sexy little remind me button. And then Kickstarter sends you an email 2 days prior to the end date, or a phone alert.
Yeah.
And when you get that, maybe, not only do I have $25, but I got $50, and, and that's a big part of the reason why you have that influx in the last 2 days, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good assessment. So anyways, part of the 36th day was a paranoia of not reaching the goal, even though our goal was slightly shorter this time because the book is 22 instead of 28 pages. And the other part was we started on June 6th.
Okay.
I felt that, if we ended July 6th...
Oh, you'd be ending too close to a holiday.
We'd be really close to July 4th. And if you're like me, you're spending you're wasting $100 on fireworks.
On barbecue stuff.
On shows, on gas money going to shows.
Also, you're at parades, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're not, So, even though a large percentage of what you may get as backers may be from foreign countries, I can still see you can lose a lot of the domestic U.S. backers.
Yeah.
You're basically, taking eyes off the campaign, and 4th of July, at least in the areas we live in, are huge events. And it could easily disrupt your Kickstarter.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Black Suited Death does look like he's custom tailored, being turned into a Statue of Liberty figure. So, as a pinup to kind of help out your Kickstarter towards the end, maybe you want to toss that idea at Dexter, because, he's got
That might not be
got
a bad
kind of
idea.
weird, bulky, marbly look that the Statue of Liberty has, you know. So you can have the lightsaber instead of the torch.
Do a 4th of July print.
Feel free to
There's
use
a stretch
that.
goal.
The 4th of July print. There you go.
There you go. We're ending July 12th, though there's part of me that like kind of wish we had done it on the 15th because that's more likely a payday.
Yes.
There's still some concern that the last few days might be...
There is no way to perfectly plan
No, there isn't.
something out. And anyone that says that there is probably trying to sell you a book on how to do a Kickstarter. And they probably do not know themselves. But anyway, you reached 61% of your funding goal as of this time of this recording. And we're how many days in so far?
Wednesday is 15. So this is 15 or 14.
Okay, so roughly 2 weeks.
Yeah, roughly 2 weeks.
Roughly 2 weeks, and you're at 60% of your
Right.
goal, so you're doing pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So you obviously got a lot of forward momentum early on. How do you keep that momentum going from here until the end?
That's a really good question. So part of the forward momentum is that people were expecting this one
Correct.
for 6 months to a year.
Right.
We use a service called thunderclap.it. That's the website.
Right.
It's Thunderclap. So what that is it's a signal boost. People sign up through their social media accounts. On launch date, the service sends out one post per social media account. So they do Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. On your behalf, and so all these social media accounts, minimum is 100. I think we had 108 this time. All post at the exact same time. So we had a potential reach of over 40,000 people saw a post about the day
You know,
we
when
launched.
you phrase it like that up
Yeah.
to 40,000 people saw, and you're only at 60%, that tells you that you might suck. So, go on, just joking.
But it really depends on the people that sign up. Like if someone has like 10,000 backers or
Right.
followers or whatever.
And just because I have that many followers doesn't mean that it's inherently comic
Yeah.
fans or people who have any interest in buying comics
Exactly.
or a comic about a black suit of death.
If they'll only say, we'll say 5 to 10% people had an interest, saw it, and a percentage of those backed it, that would account for the first day's success of, I think day one ended around 32%.
Right.
The goal is to be 30% in the first 2 days.
Right.
Because statistically speaking,
That would give
shows
you the
a
highest
success.
ratio of success. Yeah.
And so reaching 61% after 2 weeks is pretty good. You would think I'd be able to calm my nerves, but
I wouldn't.
it really doesn't. Because
I wouldn't
you
calm
need
my
that
nerves
edge.
until an hour after the Kickstarter.
Exactly.
ended.
Because there's always the curse of dropped backers.
Correct.
Or credit cards that don't clear.
Credit cards that don't, they decline afterwards.
yeah.
That's a big one that
It's huge.
I don't know if a lot of people talk about that.
They don't.
But
No, they'll talk to other creators about it.
correct, but not publicly.
And well, everyone's nervous about saying it because
Yeah.
they don't want to say, "Well, mine, hit 7,000, but I only got that."
Right.
And which I think on deposit day, ours was 63, and that was after dropped pledges, credit card failures, and Kickstarter fees.
Right.
So it's fun to boast. I raised $7,000, but the reality was quite different.
One of my favorites with that is when I did Who Will Save the World, I had this gentleman who was very talkative towards me throughout the whole initial funds raising portion of it. And after it ended, his card immediately declined.
Ouch.
And immediately declined again. And every time they tried to run it through, it kept declining. And it was for a really small amount. I think he got one of the PDFs, like $3, right?
Oh, weird.
But he sends me a message the day it ended and said, "Send me the PDF now." Like, it was very demanding. And I was like, well, for starters, PDF isn't ready yet.
Yeah.
And for another, no, your card declined. And so every day, up until the point that Kickstarter dropped them as a backer, and what's that take, 2 weeks, I think?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
He sent me a message daily demanding that I send him this PDF. And so it almost seemed that guy had backed knowing that his card was going to decline.
It feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, maybe he was, maybe he made money off of selling PDFs. I have no clue.
I don't know.
And I don't really want to speculate on that number hard enough. But anyway, that is a big problem. Is, and a lot of times it's not anything nefarious like that. A lot of times it's just, somebody had backed early on, they had money then, at the end of it. And I almost think the Kickstarter would be doing all of us creators a favor if they did pre-draw funds and then release them if the campaign was not successful. Because I think a lot of people assume that when they hit this pledge button, that their funds have came out of their account. I've had some of the people who have pledged to me that were surprised that their funds, and they weren't familiar with the way Kickstarter worked. They were new backers that I had driven to the site.
Yeah.
But they had thought that the funds had already came out because they'd already authorized it. And if they just held it, people would see that it was out of their account already. And it would also make someone think twice about pledging in case they didn't have the money. Which I personally prefer, someone not to pledge that didn't have the money than pledge and then I get it back or it dropped.
Because those are always scary.
End. Yeah.
GoFundMe is a crowdfunding source that does charge immediately.
Right.
But they also make it immediately available to the creator
of
the project.
Deposit into your account right away.
Which has cons. Like, because maybe that money gets spent on something else and not necessarily a project.
But GoFundMe isn't really...
They're more of a...
They're not really about creating something like Kickstarter.
They're closer to a charitable thing.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm losing my house.
Yeah, I don't want to disparage GoFundMe or whatever.
No,
I think it's a
not
good
at all.
platform, but,
not at all.
But they have a system like... I think what Adam's talking about is not a bad idea, at least on the creator side.
Right.
On the backer side...
Well, I actually think it would help out a lot of backers.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Because, like I'm saying, people who think that the money's already came out of their account. And, I don't know about you, and maybe I'm in the minority here, but how many people actually write down all of their bank transactions anymore in a little ledger book versus just look at your online banking?
You're in the minority.
I'm in the minority. You write it down still in the ledger book?
Don't write it down?
No,
I thought you did.
No.
You're always calculating shit.
I use the online banking. Now, I know what I've spent, so that's different, because I remember it all. But most people I know do not use the little ledger books anymore. They just look at the online banking portion.
Because us Generation Xers didn't really use checkbooks.
Right.
And millennials don't even know what it is.
No, they don't know.
I mean, they probably know what it is. I'm not saying they don't know what it is. But we don't use checks anymore because what's the point?
Right.
When they run a check, they still run it like a debit card. So that's what I'm saying.
You have
we don't use checkbooks or anything like that.
You're used to something instantly being drawn out of your account.
Exactly.
As soon as you push the money button.
Yeah.
So whether that's on a website like eBay or Amazon, or it's at the grocery store with your debit card, you're just used to things coming out of your account right away.
Right.
And so I think at the very least, maybe it should be an option. Do you want the funds held as almost like an escrow thing?
Yeah.
Or do you want it to come out at the very end? If they even did like a beta test where they gave the backers a choice, I wonder which they would prefer. Because I'm just going off of the conversations I've had with my own backers.
With your own backers, yeah.
But they seem like they would prefer that it just come out ahead of time. I, as a backer, would have preferred sometimes that something come out ahead of time, because there have been a few times where I backed something and completely forgot I backed.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
And so, so it's like, what's that $10? Oh yes, I purchased something on Kickstarter. But that is one of the pains. And so, like I was stating, I don't think it's a nefarious action the majority of the time that a pledge gets dropped after the fact. I think it's just, an honest mistake.
It's just it's one of those, shit happens kind of things.
But it is something that when you're running a Kickstarter, you better account for by either having more money in your account or going for a bigger goal than what you absolutely need.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered your incentives.
All of them except the coolest one.
Okay, what's the coolest one?
Well, the coolest one, depending on who you are, is sold out.
So what do you mean, depending on who you are?
Well, some people want to be in the comic book.
Right.
They want a cameo appearance. So we actually had the option of having a character with your likeness be killed by the Black Suit of Death.
Okay.
In this issue, it's his first big massacre. Spoiler alert. And so... a lot of backers were really excited about this, and we sold out of those real quick. People on Kickstarter
love being drawn into comics, it seems.
And so I'm going to say our other coolest option is to actually get a page of original art.
Mm-hmm.
And Dexter is doing all the art on issue 2, which means, pencils, inks, and color. But what's special about the color is, unlike most modern comic books, which are colored digitally,
mm-hmm.
he is hand painting every single page.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're getting, and this is the 297 level, is an original page of hand painted comic book art.
Okay.
And this is not something I've ever seen offered. At most, you're spending $150 to $300 for an inked page. Of comic
you
book
do
art.
realize that with Who Will Save the World,
Yeah.
Stefano offered.
Really?
Yes, they're.
I probably didn't scroll up to that high
painted pages
because I didn't have any money.
We used as incentives.
Adam's claiming I'm copying him again.
No, I'm not claiming you're copying me. I'm just correcting you that you're not the first on the market.
No. I don't think I'm the first.
I don't think that I was.
I said I haven't seen it before.
With Who Will Save the World, but yeah, we did offer that with Who Will Save the World.
So I hadn't seen it before, which is terrible because my friend did it. But when I backed
and
I think I backed it for $5 or something.
What was terrible about it was
the
pages came from Italy to the U.S., right? And they got stuck at customs, or they just lost the package for a week or something like that.
That's the scary thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the exacts of what it was now, but I know the package wasn't able to be found by the delivery company for a brief period of time after all the pages, had been confirmed to be in their possession by them.
Yeah.
And so luckily we were able to track it down and got it delivered. But it turns out what happened is between Italy and the United States, they used a package delivery company there that doesn't exist over here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got switched off somewhere in the middle. Instead of being like UPS or something like that, it was like DHL made the final delivery.
Oh, okay.
And so somewhere in there, the tracking number just kind of became invalid. Mm-hmm. And they didn't issue a new tracking number. But, it was a very, very scary moment.
That's a nightmare scenario.
It was a complete nightmare scenario.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, okay, you're offering these painted pages, which is extremely cool.
I think so.
I think it is.
I want them all. Can't do that.
Yeah, that's a pain when you're the creator of it.
Yeah, it's
and
like
you want to.
You got to make the next book. So
original art yourself.
Yeah.
I understand that one because you own the first page to Chronicles of Von Helsing #1.
I do.
And I wish I owned that page.
It's awesome. Yeah. I only have I think 2 or 3 pages of original comic art, and the other one is actually from Dexter Wee's another book that he draws called Kirite Ibsen. Mm-hmm. I have one of the original pages from that.
Do you own any of the original art to any of your books that have come before?
No.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't have any of it. I have a traced page. Mm-hmm. So Paul Johnson, he works on my book Little Lincoln.
Right. And my book El Bovine Marte.
And your book El Bovine Marte. So he would pencil a page and then ink it on a traced page.
Right.
Not to use the term tracer, that seems so rude. So I have that. So I do have one page of original art for one of my books. So yeah, I do have
I have the majority of the artwork from the Pauper, from the first 2 Ghost Assassin stories.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have all the original art.
Oh, shit. I have Fred Hembeck's Little BSD.
Well, there you go. That's a good one to have.
That's a really good one to have.
A really good one to have. I have the cover from Chronicles of Von Helsing #5. I have a few small pieces by Tony that aren't Darkslinger specific. They're just cool little pieces.
Yeah.
I have original piece by Alan Bennett, the scratchboard piece that he did. Mr. Muffkins from Chronicles of Von Helsing. Yeah, so actually I have a whole box full
bastard
of original Darkslinger artwork.
I gotta get on top of it.
What I gotta get on top of is putting it all in really super nice frames.
Oh, that can be costly.
Yeah, I don't care. I want to be able to
I want it all.
I actually do care because, you know. But anyway, let's get back to your Kickstarter.
Sure.
So, you did really well, and you used Thunderclap it, and obviously some of where your traffic came from in the beginning was the fact that you had a successful Kickstarter, and this is the second issue of that. And so you're leveraging the fan base from the first issue over to the second one. But you have probably started to run out of the fan base from the first one with how many backers you've had, I would say.
It feels that way.
And the initial thunderclap, unfortunately, only happens
happens once. It would be amazing if you could do it in the mid-campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see them somehow create something like that.
Right.
The only problem with that is you'd have to almost... Well, they could just say, well, thunderclap twice.
Right, or they could ask how many times they could do it, up to, 5 times if the person's willing to say, okay, or they could...
Or once a week, I think, would be
you could do a little drag down bar that's I'm okaying them to do this 3 times, I'm okaying them to do this 4 times.
But I think...
When I signed up for your thunderclap I actually had thought that. I was like, why can't I allow him to do this more than one time? Because, if you wanted to broadcast on my Twitter and my Facebook once a week during your campaign, I would not have cared.
Yeah.
Those were really great to get the word out initially, but now what do you do?
We're still figuring that out.
Okay.
Honestly, so this is my 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th Kickstarter campaign.
Right.
My second one that's going well.
Right.
Not that the third one did pretty good, but the 4th one was successful. This is the 5th one. It's going pretty well. It should be successful.
It's going to hopefully be successful.
So there's still some learning curve left. What we've discovered by looking at the analytics and stuff, so most of our backers actually come from Kickstarter Discover, which didn't happen before. And so that's really cool. We got 48% or something from that. And last time, a lot of our backers outside of Kickstarter Discover came from Twitter. It was somewhere around 8% versus Facebook, which was 5%. Now, backers coming from Twitter or Facebook are dead heat. They're
Are Twitter and
each.
Facebook the only 2 social media that you're using?
I have an Instagram.
Okay.
I guess it's my age. I don't understand the platform.
Instagram's super easy.
I don't fucking like it. I hate it. You can't do anything. You just send photos. Well, I fucking do that on Twitter and Facebook. Fuck you, Instagram.
I like Instagram.
I know a lot of people do, and I'm attempting to learn it.
I like not having to read all the little
that's probably I like reading. Little blurs. I don't know. I'm very nosy. So my daughter uses it, so I'm trying to get her to teach me. Mm-hmm. She's a terrible teacher. She's 12. Not the adult one.
Right.
Yeah, I just had my oldest just graduated from high school, so that's creepy. Well, not creepy, but it's
creepy how old you are.
I know, right? It's bittersweet when your child graduates high school. It's like, I did it. I raised it to an adult. Oh, now it's gone. It's weird.
And you're still trying to be an adult in the meantime.
I know, right?
So, yeah.
Adulting's hard.
It is. And
what was your question?
Instantly make you an adult. We're on a very, very far off field tangent now. My question is, how do you keep the momentum going?
Okay.
What social media platforms are you using? Are you only keeping your momentum going by social media? What are you doing?
We're doing 2 things. So social media plays a big part into this. Twitter interactions are really important. I love Twitter. I think it's a great platform. I get a lot of traction on there. Yesterday,
yeah, I don't understand Twitter the way you don't understand
there you go.
Instagram.
So
I never even know if I'm replying to somebody correctly on there.
And they just
it's not
changed
for lack
everything
of me
too.
Trying to use Twitter. It's just there must be something too old about me
now.
When I do it.
All the buttons are different now. They just did it up.
Anyway,
so
not trying to interrupt you.
I got almost 10,000 impressions yesterday, which is pretty good for
An
someone at my
impression
level.
is
people that see the tweet, not necessarily interact with it,
right?
But see it. So it's a lot like the
and
thunderclap.
Twitter gives you those metrics.
Yes.
Okay.
And it also tells you how many people actually did interact with your tweets. So on average, I was around 50 to 200. So it's like a huge, huge difference. But I tweeted a lot yesterday. I was talking about the Gwar concert and stuff.
Gwar.
Dude, I missed out. I should have been listening to them for a long time. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know.
I've known about them since the beginning,
It's because your brother listened to them, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. My brother's a huge fan, and I rarely trust his music. Even though I end up listening to everything he listens to. My older brother, he's a metalhead, for those of you in the know, or not know, whatever. So Twitter is where I do a lot of my interactions. We have an account for Warrior Innkeeper, at Warrior Innkeeper, minus the last E, Black Suit of Death, which is at BLK Suit of Death. So we do a lot of interactions between there. And then, of course, on Facebook, we have a page for Black Suit of Death, and we do a lot of interactions there. And this time around, we're having a lot of our fans do the work. And not that we're asking them, they're just doing it. Like, we've even had people that just discovered Black Suit of Death going, oh my god, this book is so fucking awesome. They're tweeting and they're sharing the project on Facebook, which is amazing because it to take some of that load off helps us focus on maintaining the campaign. So there's that social media element, which is really awesome. As far as like the campaign inside there, I'm doing Kickstarter Live for the first time.
Okay, right there. Pause.
Okay.
Explain.
Kickstarter Live. Isn't that much different than Facebook Live?
You're not explaining it whatsoever to someone who hasn't used either of those platforms.
So let's take YouTube. You're watching something on YouTube, right? So that's a rerun, or someone recorded it and then uploaded it. So Kickstarter Live...
YouTube can be live too.
Yeah. Kickstarter Live is just like that, except that you set up a time, and Kickstarter actually has a countdown on your project page to let people know when you're going to be live.
Okay. And
when you go on the camera and you talk about whatever you're going to talk about, and people can chat with you and ask you questions through a like a messenger system.
Okay.
That Kickstarter Live has.
So I've never been in any rooms that have webcam girls, but is that kind of the basic principle there?
I wouldn't know.
We've all seen TV shows that have.
I suppose it would be similar in that there is a webcam, you're looking at it, talking to it, people are looking at you.
Are they asking you questions?
And asking you questions and
do
live
they show up
time.
as video to you, or do they show
No.
Okay.
It's not an interactive video feed. It's when they ask you questions, it's just like if you're on Messenger.
Okay.
And the same thing on Kickstarter, it's you do comments, but it's still pretty much the same. And
okay, so those just pop up in auto.
Yeah, well, there's a scrolling sidebar.
Okay,
so a question,
but they auto-populate to you. You don't have to refresh anything or anything like that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's all done live. It's very smooth.
Now, when you do something like that, is it helpful to have some sort of mediator to read you the questions, do that kind of stuff?
It's very strange because you find yourself talking to people, but not hearing them.
Okay.
Because you're reading what they're saying. My co-writer Ed often pops up and makes fun of me.
Yeah.
And he'll say something, and I'll say, "Oh, hi, Ed."
You in the past.
And then he'll type "hi" back.
Okay.
And so, in that way, you get this live communication. You're interacting with the creators of the project.
Okay.
It's really a fascinating experience.
Okay. So when you see somebody pop in there, you can interact with them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They can say hi or "I love your project," and you can instantly say thank you.
Okay.
Whereas, like, if you're on Messenger, you type it, but you're live feed, so you can talk to.
And what's the benefit of doing one of the Kickstarter lives?
I think it's similar to meeting a creator at a convention.
Okay.
Do you like this creator's work? You go to the convention to meet them and talk to them about their process, or just shower them with praise, or whatever you want to do. And with Kickstarter Live, you can do that with a creator who is on the other side of the world if you want.
Okay.
You just gotta, find out when they're doing it, and Kickstarter makes that easy because of that countdown. And you get on there and live, and so, I've talked to readers in Australia. Mm-hmm. I've talked to readers over in England, and had interactions with people that you normally wouldn't get to have an interaction with because they can't make it to a convention here in Oregon.
Okay.
So in that way, you get this virtual personal experience. So in sales, it's really important to make that personal connection. Mm-hmm. What's exciting about being on the end where you're trying to sell something to someone, I struggle with that. I can't really explain why. But when I interact with people, when I'm trying to sell my book,
it's weird to sell your own product.
It is. But
it really is.
I get really interested in the person that's interested in the book. Mm-hmm. And I really like that back and forth.
Do you think that's because you're always shut off from the world?
Because I'm
your only human interaction.
Because I live in a cave.
Yeah.
I could be. Oh, another human.
So
I thought I was alone.
When you see this person who comes up to your table and they're looking at the stuff you made Golem style.
Yeah. My precious. It could be. I don't know. Maybe it's an introvert thing. But it's really cool that Kickstarter
anything,
Live
you're
does
an
this.
ambivert, not an introvert.
You be quiet. Don't label me.
You were labeling you.
My point is, I enjoy it, and I hope that the readers and the fans enjoy it too. That's one way. We were talking about momentum. That's one way to keep momentum, because it brings people back to look at the video or listen to the video. Something else that we've done is you can do milestone. You're building up your percentage as the Kickstarter goes on. So at 30% we had a milestone, at 40, 50, and 60% we had milestones. And what we do at those milestones, besides just celebrating on social media, is on the Kickstarter page we add hopefully something valuable for backers. So what we've done at 40, I want to say 40 and 60%, is we've uploaded. This is embarrassing. So, if you know the story of Black Suited Death, over 20 years ago, my co-writer Ed Ellsworth and I, along with some friends, made some short home movies that later, 15 years after the movies were made, inspired the creation of the Black Suited Death comic book, which is far superior to our efforts as young adults. But, we talk about this since the inception of Black Suited Death, and as one of our stretch goals for Black Suited Death #1 was to show people the original Black Suited Death home movie. They're on VHS, so digital conversion isn't something that I know how to do. Mm-hmm. I've looked at it, and some places look like it might be affordable or might not. I don't know. So I created a bootleg version that hopefully satisfies people's curiosity about this terrible thing we did. And actually, that was really fun.
And hopefully, it doesn't drive away backers.
Well, we'll come to that. So at 40%, we released the Black Suited Death movie to our backers for Black Suited Death 2. And at 60%, we just uploaded the film that came before that, which was a parody of Scream. Mm-hmm. It's called Scream Sugar Daddy Scream. It is not a porno.
Yes. I'm fully aware of this story. I already know it's not a porno.
We didn't realize, being young and naive, how bad our title sounded. We were just thinking, well, it's a parody of Scream, and we're using...
By young and naive, just so our audience does understand, Ben does in fact mean a young virgin. So I just want our audience to understand that is in fact...
I was a wholesome young man. What can I say?
Anyway, let's continue.
Son of a bitch. So... Yeah, well, we didn't know girls, so when we were making our movie...
You didn't know girls? You had never met a girl?
We never met no. Well, we knew girls, we didn't know how to talk to them yet.
Okay.
So we didn't have an actress to play the Drew Barrymore part for our Scream parody, so we ended up using Ed's sister's
You guys
Barbie doll.
did not even have a female friend?
Not at that point. Shortly thereafter. But, no, I had a few. But
it's astounding that you have a wife.
Isn't it? Shut up. I hate you. So created a Scream parody with Barbie dolls and humans, and it was really, really bizarre. Mm-hmm. We got the name from a X-Men toy.
His name is Sugar Man.
It's Sugar Man, which I just discovered today, because I hadn't read the comic in 20 years. And... the toy has this real evil laugh. So after the killer kills someone,
for those of you who don't
Sugar
know,
Man toy laughs.
Sugar Man is a very bizarre character that came from
weird.
the X-Men event Age of Apocalypse, and they actually kept around in the main X-Men books
because it came out X-Men.
And even though he never
Nate
seemed
moved over
to be
the real world,
overtly popular,
he got a toy.
He was in more than just X-Men. He actually started appearing in Generation X first.
Oh, that's right.
Because it turns out that he had...
I forgot about that.
Okay, now we're
okay.
We're
geeking out.
But Sugar Man was in charge of Gene Nation, if I remember right.
Yeah.
The Chris Pacello Generation X books were incredible. So if you haven't checked those out,
Do so.
I have no idea how well they hold up. I haven't read them in years, but they were incredible back when we were kids.
They were awesome.
So Sugar Man never seemed to be that popular of a character, but they made this toy for him, and he was incredibly bizarre. And so you saw this toy, and you thought, hey, he's going to be a giggling, laughing part of our movie.
Yeah.
And you thought his name was Sugar Daddy, despite the fact that you had clearly bought the toy.
Well, this was 20 years ago. I can't explain my thought process.
Okay.
It's long gone.
Okay.
Ed has blacked out the entire time period. He's sort of, I don't remember anything.
We need to make we need to tell the audience. Mm-hmm. Ed did not forget the whole time period because of anything that was drug induced. It's not that.
Ed is actually he doesn't I think he drinks wine on occasion, and that's like as bad as he gets. He's as angry as he is, he's actually a well-adjusted man.
Okay, I don't think Ed wants us talking about how angry he is on the podcast. But anyway, so you guys make this parody movie that's called Scream, Sugar Daddy Scream.
Yes, and we didn't have a Ghostface mask, but we had a blank.
Ghostface is the killer from Scream, if you're unfamiliar.
Right, and after we got done with this and watching it and laughing at ourselves, we thought, maybe there's a semi-original character in there. It's like, what if we took this costume we had for the parody and made it a version of that word of the Grim Reaper. Mm-hmm. And I have always liked obnoxiously long titles.
Yes, you have.
And so he ended up getting called the Black Suit of Death instead of the Grim Reaper because why not? And so we wrote a script and we shot this movie real quick. And so you can see both of these travesties of, young film students not going to film school, making home movies.
Now you keep stating young.
Young. We were...
But you were in college at the time.
So
how young were you?
The group of us, age range was 18 to 21.
Okay, so that's young.
So pretty young, yeah.
Yeah.
Our brains weren't fully developed yet.
Still not.
Shut up. No.
It's a whole different story.
That's a whole different story.
Yours, at least. Ed's probably.
Probably a long time ago. So we put these films up as incentives to help drive momentum. So now we're at 60%.
And how many of these films exist? Is it just the one?
Okay, so Black Suit of Death. So we have that original film, right? But we knew we could do better. Mm-hmm. So we went back and we wrote an actual screenplay.
Okay.
It's only 30 pages, so it's still a short film. And over the next few years, until basically the group grew up and moved on, spread out throughout the country, we attempted to remake this film. And we shot scene after scene after scene. Mm-hmm. And we have that footage. That footage does exist, and it's actually much better than the footage of the original film because it was filmed on what was called Super VHS with actual cameras from OSU. I actually ended up taking some classes. I was auditing some film classes at OSU, Oregon State University, with some friends. One of them who is now actually working as a movie editor, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And so we actually filmed semi-professional video of the Black Suit of Death. So there's still more footage out there. However, I have this dream of combining all the available footage to finish that first poorly written 30-page movie, and for the scenes that weren't shot, do storyboards, like animated storyboards to fill the gap. So I don't plan on releasing that other footage until I get a chance to truly digitize things, hopefully clean up some of the video degradation, because I've read that's available, which is awesome, and combine this into official version of the Black Suit of Death movie from, 1999 or whatever it was. So that's one of my dreams, but that's going to take some cash flow that I don't have right now.
Maybe that could be a Kickstarter for the future.
It's in consideration. So part of keeping the momentum is giving people something fresh, something to look forward to.
Right.
And that's part of the backer only updates. Mm-hmm. And so we do 2 or 3 updates a week. We do a Kickstarter spotlight, which is someone else's Kickstarter that's running at the same time that has a comparable audience, and we do update swaps, which is for someone that's running a Kickstarter. An update swap is where you go to a friend or someone else that's running a Kickstarter that's in the same theme as yours and say, would you ask them politely, do you want to do an update swap? And it's free, doesn't cost you any money. You just write a nice blog, a nice update about someone else's Kickstarter, and they write one about yours.
Right.
Because Kickstarter is a community. Mm-hmm. And so doing that really energizes the community. And it's something that I really enjoy.
Those have confused me at times, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not just on yours, on other Kickstarters I've backed as well. Like, I'll open it up, and I'll just be looking in it for, where's the update on this project?
Yeah. What I try to do, or what I'm doing with this one, is I'm just, in the title, it's Kickstarter Spotlight.
Oh, okay.
And then it says the Kickstarter's name.
I guess I haven't read the title when I've got this.
Well, in BSD1, I would do a regular update that would then, would talk about mine, and then it would talk about someone else's. Or vice versa, talk about someone else's and talk about mine. And yeah, it was kind of confusing. So I'm trying to make it more clear that this is something I'm doing because I believe in the projects that I'm updating on. Mm-hmm. I think I've backed every single one so far. It's because it's something that I want to see done because I want that book in my hand as much as I want my book in my hand. Mm-hmm. It's like a cross-pollination kind of thing. And that helps momentum too, and that gives you something to put updates on. For my project, which won't be completed until Dexter gets the art done, presumably this fall or winter. Mm-hmm. We need something to talk about. And why not talk about a project you enjoy?
Now let's talk about that one for just a few moments.
Okay.
Why are you doing the Kickstarter prior to having the artwork finished?
That's a good question.
Because one thing I have personally vowed is that I'll never do another Kickstarter that the artwork is not finished on.
Yeah.
Because, I had one that succeeded with the funding phase, but then when it came to the delivery phase, it took, 3 years?
It was,
for it all to be completed. And, and I just said, never at any point in time am I going to do one that the artwork's not completed on.
Yeah.
Because it can change everything. Like if you've got prices for the printing of this, obviously over the course of 4 to 5 months, all the prices that you came up with can be totally invalidated. The cost of USPS postage can increase dramatically. Cost of your packaging materials, unless you purchase them right now, can increase. All costs can increase, making the amount that you went after in your goal, in your funding phase, invalidated to a degree. Mm-hmm. So why do it prior to having the artwork completed?
That's a good question. Because, it is a huge risk on the backer. And
on the project creator.
And can be a strain on the project creator. You're totally right. One thing is I'm working with people that have proven to me through, working with them in the past, that they are capable of delivering. And I think that's really important. 2, I've already dumped a couple grand into this project just to get it started. So that's for the preview cover, or the covers, the preview pages, advertising. Mm-hmm. So I'm already invested in this. But like I said in the first Kickstarter, I got 4 kids. Well, one of them's graduated now, but so I have
graduated does not mean that she's really stable.
Yeah, we've told her, look, you're probably going to move back twice. It's okay.
2, 3 times.
So I had to reprioritize my money. Like when I first got into this, I was single. Mm-hmm. I only had 1 kid. I was still in the military, so I had money from that. As, my career has expanded, gotten better, I've ran out of personal funds to be able to put into these projects because I'm working with different artists, professionals. I would like to think I'm on a more professional level than I have been before. But with that, the expenses, the costs are a little bit higher than maybe when I first started. And it's difficult to find those funds. So Kickstarter is a great way to find out how to pay for your artist. Now, people don't know, and I'll go ahead and share here, is our artists are already working on things.
Right.
So they're expecting a payday. So if this fails,
then you're still on the hook.
I'm in debt, and I'm on the hook. But I feel such an obligation to not only our fans and readers, but especially to our backers, people who have entrusted us with their money to make this project. Mm-hmm. And so, luckily, now I didn't do this with Black City Death #1 because I wasn't in the position to do that. This time, I'm still taking kind of a risk, a personal risk, but I'm in more of a position to help build my own project. So my dream is that once number 2 comes out and I do a few conventions and gain some momentum in selling, is that'll help pay for number 3. But we do actually plan on doing at least, I'm not saying that's the end, we're planning on doing at least one more Kickstarter for Black Suited Death number 3, and that will be more, with any luck, a promotional type Kickstarter, not so much of a help me make this. So it'll be like maybe for a larger print run, is what I'm hoping for. Is that the artwork will be done for issue 3 by the time we do the Kickstarter for issue 3. So, but there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to happen. But we're all working towards that because we want this to actually be a real, periodical comic. But, best case scenario, we're looking at maybe 2 to 4 books a year. I think it's safer to say there's going to be 2. We're really trying to get to 27 because that's the first major story arc. The overall
27 a year?
Overall, 27 issues. No, not 27 years. Fuck no. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. But so we have a story arc that's, issue 1 through 6 and then 6 through 12 and whatnot. And it goes all the way up to 27 where we have this, climactic conclusion to the story arc. And then we'll pick up from there with other BSD-related projects. It's a lot of ambition here. Right now we're really focused on getting this first 6-issue story arc finished in a manner that is both beneficial to us as much as to our backers. And so there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of plans going on, and we're doing our best, I'll say, to stay focused and get the books made that we've promised to get made and take it from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Sounds great. And I think that's a good place to stop for today. So, Ben, where can people go if they are interested at all in backing this?
If you are interested in the Black Suited Death, you can easily type in fund, F-U-N-D, blacksuitofdeath.com. That will actually redirect you to the Kickstarter. If you're on Twitter...
Or they could simply go to Kickstarter.
Or you can go to Kickstarter and type in Black Suited Death.
And just type in Black Suited Death.
Yeah. If you're on Twitter, you can use the hashtag BS or FundBSD2, and that'll show you all the stuff that we share on Twitter and whatnot, and also it'll help promote the book.
I don't even know how to look up hashtags.
So you just click on it. So easy. You click on the hashtag.
Hashtag full disclosure.
It's like it's like an easy search, basically, is what they are.
I've also never tried. That's worth stating. I've looked up hashtags on Instagram. I'm
using them on Facebook now because I found out Facebook uses them too. Just no one knows about it.
Yeah, they just started about a year ago, something like that.
That's about when I started doing it.
Yeah. Well, people just kept using them on there, and so I think they're like, "Fine,
I guess we'll make it compatible."
Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, they all use hashtags, so why not, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, on Facebook, there's Black Suited Death fan page.
Black Suited Death fan page. There's a Warrior Innkeeper creative page.
That is so long.
It is so long. Well, I love the Warrior Innkeeper, so I think we'll always keep that.
Mm-hmm.
The creative is fun, but it makes it a mouthful.
Yes, it does.
I'm trying to think of some way to shorten it, or maybe just removing the third word.
And you calling yourself Wick doesn't help.
Wick. Oh, it's hilarious. Are you kidding me?
Every time I see that, it just makes me think of
Ed,
when we had kids and you'd get a check to, get some juice and Cheerios.
My kids were on Wick. Ed refuses to use it. If he types it shorthand, it's W-I-K-C. Because he doesn't want to do... It's not Wick, damn it. It's like, that's fucking hilarious. But, it's a fun name. We don't shorten it online.
All right. Well, sounds great. With that, I think we're done for today. So thank you for listening. And tune in next week to hear another show.
Stay groovy.
That's the end.